Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. Make sure to follow us on our Discord community and be sure to stop by www.tsj101sports.com as the Pro Wrestling Podcast is now the official wrestling podcast of TSJ Sports. Hey guys, are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling video game every single year? Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available right now exclusively through Facebook. Create a wrestler, sign contracts, get involved in storylines, headline pay-per-views, even build your own corporation, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users, totally free. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, you want your name in the shoutouts like Mike and Lansdale, then make sure you check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast. Sign up today. We have loyalty rewards. Any $15 a month contributor, you get to co-host an episode of one of our live shows. $7.50 a month contributors entered into a drawing to also co-host an episode of one of our live episodes. Hello everybody, welcome to this live episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. We'll be taking your questions, your comments through any streaming service you're getting the show from throughout the show. Hey listen, if you missed the show live, that's okay. Call in or text in to the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line at 267-642-1160. Give us your questions, your comments. Talk to us about anything you want us to get into the show, and we'll try to address it in a future episode. Make sure you tell us who you are so we can give you credit for your questions. Don't forget to head over to the homepage of the Pro Wrestling Podcast, www.frowrestling.com. That's frowrestling.com, where you can preview any of the topics we're bringing to the show for our next episodes. Is a great way to come up with the questions that you want to ask us when you do decide to call us during one of the live episodes so we can get you guys to be a part of the show. So, SmackDown just went off the air. There's a lot to talk about there, but what I really want to talk about is the rumor that hit the internet shortly before the end of SmackDown, and that is that there are backstage plans for the Fiend character of Bray Wyatt to challenge the winner of Seth Rollins versus Braun Strowman at Clash of Champions. The Fiend character, I think initially when introduced to the WWE audience, everybody laughed at the joke of the whole Firefly Funhouse and all that kind of stuff. And then when the Fiend was issued, when you first got a glimpse of him, you thought, well, I'm not sure how I feel about this yet. And then when he debuted, that was incredible. And all this attacking legends and defeating Finn Balor in quick fashion really has given him some legitimacy. Now here's the issue. The problem is I think they wanted this to be a slow build towards WrestleMania, and it's not working out that way. Instead, he's become one of the hottest commodities in the company. Everybody should know by now, if you pay attention to all the news articles about the way WWE's moving his merchandise, top seller, whether it's the figures or the t-shirts or the mask or whatever it is, selling like hotcakes on WWE.com. So, absolutely a situation where WWE is going to shift some of their plans and potentially move up the opportunity to put him into a feature match for the Universal Championship sooner rather than later. Now, I have no problem with it. I think he should have gotten a more substantial title run when he had the WWE Championship over on SmackDown a couple years ago. But now, there is no question he is a absolute attraction for WWE right now, and you better capitalize on it quick. And it could not have come at a better time. Let's be honest. All Elite Wrestling has got the whole wrestling world buzzing. The debut of their show coming soon is going to be huge. You need to be able to counter with something big of your own. How about the Fiend winning the Universal Championship from whoever walks out of Night of Champions or Clash of Champions? And the beautiful thing about it is it really doesn't matter who you give the championship to at Clash of Champions. I almost think it would be better if you gave it to Braun Strowman, because it would make for a more interesting match. We've seen Seth Rollins with just about everybody, no offense to Seth Rollins. Everybody who listens to the show knows I'm a huge fan and I'm a huge supporter of his. But with everything going on in his personal life, it may be a better time to see Braun Strowman and The Fiend rather than Seth Rollins and The Fiend, and save Seth Rollins for WrestleMania or some other high-profile time. So we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out, but that's the word right now, and it would not surprise me, especially if anybody noticed Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. They're engaged now. We all know that. They weren't at Raw. The little video that they had of Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins in the back, that was taped last week. Okay, Seth and Becky Lynch off on vacation this week, spending some special time together after their big announcement. Congratulations to them, by the way, from the Pro Wrestling Podcast. But at the end of the day, it's a huge change for both of them. And maybe it's an opportunity for Braun Strowman to step out of the shadows into the limelight, become the man, only to see the Fiend take it away from him. Because I cannot see a scenario where you defeat the Fiend character already, especially when there's rumors floating around out there that CM Punk may actually be considering signing with All Elite Wrestling. I don't know that that's ever going to actually come to fruition. I don't suspect that it will, but you never know. In the wrestling world, they always say never. Well, you just never know. CM Punk could decide at any moment. He could decide the day of the event for All Out that he wants to do this, and they would sign him instantly. That's how important he is. And WWE would need something of substance to counter that announcement. And, especially, with Jon Moxley, for those who don't know, Jon Moxley is out of All Out. Pac is his replacement. It was already determined ahead of time that Pac was going to be at All Out. It was going to be a surprise. But with Moxley getting hurt, he has another issue with his elbow. The MRSA that he had issues with for such a long time apparently came back, has some kind of bout that he's doing with that. He's having surgery and whatnot. He's going to miss All Out. He's going to miss several other dates. He's not even going to make it to StarCast 3. So that should tell you how serious this is. And with him being out, now it's an opportunity for Pac to come in and face Kenny Omega, which is also going to be exciting. Anybody who has any issues with WWE is going to instantly jump on anything Pac does, because he was the guy who thumbed his nose at WWE and took a walk and was like, hey, I'll wait out my contract. And a lot of people respect him for that. Other people, not so much. They want to say, hey, we're your fans. If you're going to wait out your contract anyways, at least perform. Get buried on TV if you have to every single week, but let us see the star that we absolutely love seeing. Other people, stick it to the man. Sit out your contract. Make WWE come up with alternative plans because they were doing you wrong. But now, making his return to a mainstream American program at All Elite Wrestling All Out, being able to take on Kenny Omega, arguably one of the greatest, if not the best wrestler in the world right now. And it's debatable. I'm not going to say, there's not a debate there. Certainly there is. And if you think somebody else is better than Kenny Omega, that's perfectly fine with me. If you'd like, put it into the comments section of whatever streaming service you're using right now. I'd love to see anybody tell me what they think, who is better than Kenny Omega right now in the industry. And there are people you can make that argument for, but with all that going on, WWE needs something. That could be the Fiend versus Strowman or Rollins. Now, at the same time, when it comes to CM Punk and All Elite Wrestling, the other thing that came out last week was that his agent has reached out to WWE, or actually in effect Fox Networks, about the Fox Sports 1 show, not the one that was going to be the NXT show, a different show, the studio show that right now is slated to have Renee Young be the host of, and it's very confusing. So apparently it's not CM Punk reaching out, it's his agent, that he may not even be interested, but that his agent was looking to see if there was a possibility to make something work there. He would be an employee of Fox, not of WWE. Maybe that's what they need to do to get him back into the fold. It's interesting that Cody already said he thought that he would go back to WWE. So I'm not sure what's going on here. We're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. But I know, even last week at a house show, you had Daniel-Bryan and Kofi Kingston doing the GTS when the fans started chanting for CM Punk. Like, dude, Punk's been gone since 2014. It's been 5.5 years. How long does he have to be gone before people stop chanting his name every time you're near Chicago, in Chicago, or anytime you're watching a match? It's not up to your taste level. At some point, just let him go. The guy's not a spring chicken anymore. If he wants to come back, he'll come back. Let him surprise you. What happened to the awesomeness of the 90s when a guy would just all of a sudden show up on TV and you had no idea he was coming? It's kind of like the internet has kind of broke things, because now people know everything way ahead of time. And trying to keep stuff a secret is darn near impossible. And we don't get that awesome moment. You go on YouTube, you can look up greatest WWE returns of all time, or greatest WWE debuts of all time, or greatest pro wrestling debuts of all time. And you'll get all these videos, and a lot of them come from before the internet wrestling community really took over and was telling you every nook and cranny of everything that ever was going to take place. I miss that. I miss that quite a bit. Hey, look, I'm telling you right now, if CM Punk is coming to All Out, I don't want to know. If CM Punk's coming to WWE, I don't want to know. I want to know the minute that he walks out on stage, so I can get that organic pop. I'll never forget sitting in my house in 2005 watching WrestleMania, and a buddy of mine and I watching Muhammad Hassan attack Eugene, and as they're beating him down, the minute Hulk Hogan's music hit, my buddy tore his polo shirt for work right in half, getting so excited watching Hulk Hogan come out because nobody knew it was coming. That's the kind of energy I want to see in wrestling now. We don't get a lot of that. Maybe we will with some of the All Elite Wrestling stuff, but I really doubt that they have anybody signed unless they do have CM Punk who can give you that kind of shock value. So that's what I'm pulling for. You know, I would, if somebody like Brock Lesnar showed up, would that be shocking? Absolutely, but he's under contract. So who's left? There's not a lot out there for them to surprise the world. Is Kazuchika Okada going to show up? Or Tanahashi? Probably not. And they're not going to get mainstream pop anyways. They're people for diehards like you and me. So there's not a lot left that All Elite Wrestling can do to bring in brand name recognition. It's not like WWE has released a lot of people who haven't already gone there. So there's not a lot left. You can't even sign Ken Shamrock. You know why? Because he's headed to Impact Wrestling to feud with Moose. Who in their right mind thought this was a good idea? Don't get me wrong, I have a lot of appreciation for Ken Shamrock. I think he gets a raw deal when it comes to his wrestling ability and his career. I thought he contributed at a great time in the industry. I think the Attitude Era would have been slightly different, and the double switch of Stone Cold and Bret Hart at WrestleMania couldn't have happened without Ken Shamrock in the ring. It's certainly not to the level of success that it was. I think he deserves a shot to come back. I just am kind of surprised that someone with as much momentum as Moose is the guy that you bring him back against. You'd want to bring him back against somebody he can beat, make it look like he could still go in the ring. Otherwise, it's like bringing in Disco Inferno. Like, who cares? You know, some old guy's going to get beat by a new young guy. Of course they are. So we'll have to wait and see. I did want to talk about WWE starting their own podcast network. A lot of people right away were jumping on the thought process that they would, you know, bring in like Conrad Thompson or somebody, some of these big names with all these other podcasts, and that's not what they're looking for. They're going to do all original stuff. Different wrestlers doing shows, doing the Eric Bischoff show, stuff like that, something to wrestle with, all those types of shows. But this is not something where, like, I'm going to show up on their network, and certainly not other people going in Raw and stuff like that. They're not going to show up on their network. That's not how it works. You're not going to see Wrestle Talk TV on the WWE network, even though I would love to see that. So quashing a little bit of that excitement, we can look forward to some new podcast offerings. I think it's a good idea. Obviously, Chris Jericho, Ric Flair, Stone Cold, some of the other guys have shown that you can really do some cool stuff when you do a show. So hopefully they do that and do that well. I want to talk a little bit after Edge came back at Raw and at SummerSlam and speared Elias. He's been in the news a lot recently because, one, this week he was totally jacked in a post on Twitter, but he had an interview he had done earlier as well where he said that he thinks if he given the opportunity, he can get in a ring right now and compete, but WWE won't clear him. And what's frustrating about that is, and don't get me wrong, I get WWE is looking out for the safety of their current and former stars. However, at some point, a superstar like Edge who has a medical professional's opinion, that medical professional is the one who has to decide if they say he's good to go. If they clear him, WWE should be as well. Look at the Daniel Bryan situation. He fought forever before he finally got to come back to the ring, and now he's been active for what? The better part of 2 years? With no issues. And he's taken some serious bumps. You know why there's no issues? Because he knew what he was talking about. He went to all the doctors, got all the clearances, did all the hard work to make something happen. And look what happened. He's able to compete, able to contribute at a high level, and I think that's something that's fantastic for the business. By the way, don't want to forget, congratulations out to Finn Balor, who got married this week. You know, everybody was wondering what was going on, why he was taking time off of TV. He got married. Congratulations to him. But other, like, arrivals and departures and stuff that we're talking about, LAX leaves Impact Wrestling. They screw with everybody online saying how people are going to love their next destination. They're not going to be disappointed, and they like to make history. Do you want to just tell everybody you're going to be Chris Jericho's tag team partners at, you know, the first TV tapings or wherever it's going to be? Like, seriously. Like, you're not making history going to NXT. And they're not going to put you right on the main roster on Raw. And Raw has a lot of tag teams right now, surprisingly. Even though they throw them together, piecework. You know, what this thing is with Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, I have no idea. If Bobby Roode was going to be in a tag team, it should have been with Eric Young. It would have made a lot more sense. Dolph Ziggler's been doing more substantial stuff lately. You just took Dolph Ziggler and flushed him down the toilet, not like they have been for years anyways. But I just don't like the way they handled it. Now, if they make them a tag team champion, which I think they will at Clash of Champions, maybe you get something out of that, but I don't know. I don't like the feel of it. But when you look at their divisions, LAX would be a great addition to WWE, but they're not going to do it. They're going to go to All Elite Wrestling. They're going to be Chris Jericho's tag team partners, which totally squashes the Enzo and Cass prediction I had. I'd be much happier with that. Then you got the Street Profits. We don't know what's going on with them in the Raw, but the word is they don't want to put them in the ring until they are way over with the crowd. They want to make sure they maximize their debut. Well, I don't know how much more popular they're going to get. They're getting great responses every time their vignettes come up, every time they do a segment in the back. At some point, you need to just let them get out there and perform. Let people appreciate the incredible in-ring work that these two guys put together. And they're not the only ones. The AOP, where on earth have they been? They were at the Greatest Royal Rumble, or whatever you want to call it, the Super Showdown. They come out, they do that. They did a couple house shows here and there for SmackDown, but nothing on television, and we're told, oh, well, they got to wait for a storyline. You had it on Monday night. Apparently, they were like the backup plan, or was in the planning to bring them back Monday for that multiple team gauntlet match. And then the storyline changed last minute, and they didn't do it because they didn't like the feel of it. Look, you should not have buried Gallows and Anderson with the Viking Raiders. That was ridiculous. If you were going to do something with the Viking Raiders and not want to put them in the World Tag Team Championship picture, you have AOP come out and have the two of those teams. Think about that match. AOP versus the War Raiders, and you have them do the double disqualification thing on Raw, setting up an incredible feud. Instead, a common Razor are just sitting on the sidelines doing nothing, and you just bury Gallows and Anderson, who were your World Tag Team Champions a week ago, and now a tag team that had never stepped foot in a ring before are the number one contenders to the belts. Does that make any sense to anyone in any reality? And the worst part is Paul Heyman's writing his stuff now, or at least he's the head of the direction of Raw. How did he sign off on this? And the word is there wasn't a lot of Vince McMahon changes to Raw. That means somebody with, some kind of thought process thought this was a good idea. I don't think it makes any sense. Wanted to touch on some mad respect I have right now for Rhino. Rhino's in the news this week talking about turning down more than double the money he was making before, but from WWE for a long-term contract, and why he did it. And the big word is he really wants to help discover talent. He wants to find the next Rock, the next Stone Cold, the next whatever. And I have nothing but respect for that. And he talked about his great relationship with Heath Slater and how great WWE was to him. Hey, they treated him well. I don't know if that's him trying to pad the relationship so he can get in the Hall of Fame someday or something. But, in the end, you have to have respect for a guy who turns down guaranteed money to help young guys. Because let's face it, a lot of people don't do that. Historically in the business, not just now, ever. Most people don't like to put young talent over, and this is exactly what Rhino wants to do. His feud with Michael Elgin is going to culminate with Elgin destroying him, and that's going to be exactly what he wants to have happen. Give the kid the rub and put him in position to be a main star. Nothing but respect for Rhino. I hope he continues to make a major impact on the indie scene. Maybe open a wrestling school or help one established school out and find some of those new talents, because WWE and all these other companies that are coming out now need a constant flow of new talent so things don't get stale. I want to talk about Sheamus. Sheamus in the news because he has been out since WrestleMania. Apparently, he is medically cleared for almost all the physical activity, but he does have spinal stenosis. So he feels he's ready to go. He can come back and wrestle right now. He wants the Intercontinental Championship, the only belt he's never had. I fully support that. He said it was tough for him after the split from Cesaro. I don't doubt that. The two look like they were genuinely good friends, courtesy of that pairing. But I would love to get back to the Sheamus who was WWE champion. And I don't mean the one that beat Roman Reigns, which was the garbage title change. I'm talking about the first one that beat John Cena. I want to get back to that guy. And I get it, he's not going to be that guy on the same level anymore because of the stenosis. But if he's able to compete, let's get him out there. And if he's done, I know he teased on Twitter with all the referee jackets and things that maybe he'd be switching to becoming a referee. Hey, if that's the case, then do it. Just get it done. But we really would like to see him on television. Apparently they're working on some kind of repackaging for him to maybe introduce him back to the WWE Universe. I look forward to seeing that. One of the big wrestler talents that everybody talked about all summer long was the feud between, at least the Twitter feud, between Seth Rollins and Will Ospreay. Well, Will Ospreay in the news last week talking about how he is signed for the next 5 years with New Japan Pro Wrestling when someone asked him if he would ever wrestle Ricochet again. Ricochet, long-term contract with WWE. Will Ospreay, long-term contract with New Japan. Ospreay already said he doesn't think he'll ever see himself going to WWE. And to be perfectly honest with you, the way WWE is booking Ricochet, I don't know if he's ever going to leave. I really don't. So we might not be able to see another Will Ospreay Ricochet match. I hope we do. And quite honestly, I know some people are going to hate me for this. I hope it's in a WWE ring. And I hope they give them the time to showcase what they can do. Recreate that Best of the Super Juniors match from 2017, 2016, whatever it was. It was just incredible. Do that. Let them show the world a whole new version of high-flying wrestling action. But for the next 5 years, not going to happen. Sign with New Japan. WWE has reached out to The Rock, hoping to bring him in for a SmackDown appearance, which is complicated when The Rock just got done a couple weeks ago saying how he's retired. He quietly stepped away from the wrestling business. I don't know if he's interested, but this is the kind of thing. We now know that they reached out to him, but no one has commented about whether he was interested or not. That's the situation in 2019 that we have to hope for, is that if he does come back, we don't know ahead of time. He walks out, his music hits, you get a genuine crowd reaction, and people pop, and it's just amazing. That's what I'm looking forward to. Orange Cassidy officially signed with All Elite Wrestling. It was a flurry of signings in the past week. He signs with All Elite Wrestling, which I have a problem with, considering how much they push the letter for legit wrestling and wins and losses matter and no nonsense and no tomfoolery. And then you bring out a guy who does the most ludicrous, ridiculous character in the business. And I've seen people arguing for a week now on Twitter back and forth about whether this is a good idea or not. It's horrible if you believe in everything AEW's told you. And if you don't believe in what they've told you, then why are we excited about them? The whole point was to get a different product, one that didn't look like total BS. Orange Cassidy will make them look like total BS unless he changes his entire presentation and becomes a stud wrestler like Austin Theory, who is the headliner of the newest WWE Performance Center class, along with Santana Garrett, who signed with WWE last week. So WWE's adding talents that matter, while Orange Cassidy signed with All Elite Wrestling, who really doesn't matter. I really wish All Elite Wrestling nothing but the best, but gosh, start picking some different perspectives and different talents that can give you something that matters in the ring. Orange Cassidy, he's that guy who light chops, taps you with his foot and all that kind of dumb stuff. Can't stand it. Do something better. And All Elite Wrestling's got some really cool stuff coming. When they do their first 3-4 shows, you're going to see the first women's championship match on the first episode, the first tag team championship match on another episode. They talk about the first world championship we defended on the first episode. The tag team tournament will take place the first few weeks. They announced when the finals of that tournament will be. So they've got good stuff going on, but gosh, don't make mess ups like this. They did sign Teal Piper, Roddy Piper's daughter, who also signed with Women of Wrestling. If you go online, you can see there's a video of her training. Looks greener than gourd. I hope she can get up to snuff quickly. Otherwise, it might be embarrassing for All Elite Wrestling and Women of Wrestling. But hopefully she does well. I'm pulling for anything that has to do with Roddy Piper. I'm in favor of, even if it is his daughter. And I hope she turns out to be an incredible second-generation star like a lot of these other lady talents have been. We'll have to wait and see. I did see that WWE wants Domenick, Rey Mysterio's son, to wrestle in 2020. I know that he has had a stint with the Lance Storm Wrestling, the Storm Wrestling Academy, which, by the way, is going out of business, which is sad if you ask me. Lance Storm seems like he's in great shape. I don't know why he's shutting down, but he went through that camp. He did some time in Mexico. Ray wanted to send him over to New Japan to get some learning about their style. I think Ray was doing it right, trying to send his kid all over the place, but it sounds like WWE wants to expedite this process. Bring the kid in a little earlier. And I could see it. And I could see he and Rey Mysterio holding the tag team championship, which would be incredible to see a father-son duo do that. I don't remember the last time they had something like that. I don't think, obviously Dusty and Dustin never won them together. I'm trying to think back. I don't know if Bob Orton Sr. and Jr. or Cowboy Bob and Orton Sr., I don't think they ever did it, So think back, there's not a lot of father-son teams. The Larry the Axe and Kurt Hennig, they weren't the AWA Tag Team Champions. Vern Gagne, Greg Gagne, it didn't happen. So, there's not a lot of opportunities for that. This is one of those times where you could easily see a father-son come out and do that. And I hope that's what they do. By the way, speaking of tag team championships, the Rock and Roll Express, WWE Hall of Famers, getting a shot at the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship at Honor for All. They got squashed in the NWA Tag Team Championship tournament. I love the match. I think it's a great idea to keep the Rock and Roll Express relevant. Who would have thought in their 60s they'd still be killing it like they are? Good for them. WWE's in discussions with CMLL. For those who don't know, that's a promotion in Mexico. If you were going to rank the promotions, they're one of the longest running, but they're probably, AAA is 1A and they're kind of like 1B to C-ish. You know, they're the other top promotion, but they're nowhere near the popularity they used to be. But apparently WWE, in discussions with them about, you know, a talent exchange, some talents that in the past WWE was reluctant to bring to programming. If I was AAA or CMLL or any of those companies, or even the Japanese companies, New Japan, I saw WWE talk to Pro Wrestling Noah at one point in places like that, All Japan Pro Wrestling. I'd be leery of doing a deal with WWE because they haven't done anything with their Hispanic, Latino, Mexican, luchador type characters or their Japanese imported characters. They really haven't done enough. You know, Shinsuke's doing all right, I suppose. It's still a disappointment. Asuka was okay for a few months, but otherwise totally wasted. So what are they doing? You know what I mean? I know Kabuki Warriors. Can you think of another team that deserves to be women's tag team champions? But nope, they gave it to a patchwork tag team, just like they're going to do with the Raw tag team championship. So I don't know. Going to have to keep our eyes on what happens with that, but at least they're in discussions. I did see that AJ Styles had a comment out about a potential match with Shawn Michaels and how close it really was to happening. Him saying that he's the one who approached Shawn Michaels about it and that he was immediately turned down. Shawn Michaels it was absolutely not going to happen. And I think it's a shame because that match where he came back at that Crown Jewel was such a throwaway. And you can't convince me he didn't do it only because of the money. And I don't want to think that about Shawn Michaels, Mr. Holier Than Thou, and I love him to death. Everybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Shawn Michaels mark. But if you're coming back for that, you can't convince me that this year at Crown Jewel, Vince couldn't pay you enough money to wrestle AJ Styles in a match that every wrestling fan who's a purist who loves the history of the business wouldn't be dying to see. I hope they find a way to someday make that happen before it gets too late. And last but not least for tonight's episode, happy birthday this week went out to Vince McMahon, who turned 74 years old. Funaki turned 51, and, you know, the Soul Man, Rocky Johnson, turned 75. But Vince McMahon, 74 years old, still a workout fanatic, still Mr. I gotta be in control of everything in WWE. But you know what? It's his baby. He's cultivated it from the beginning. I've heard people talk about, he needs to step away. You know what? He's earned the right to step away when he's good and ready to step away, even though you and I both probably would like him to step away. But happy birthday to Vince McMahon. He deserves it. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode. We'll run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks, as always, goes out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all of our music and sound effects that we use in our shows. Today's podcast was sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this game by Beazle Games by going to frowrestling.com and clicking the icon in the middle of the screen to pick up your copy today. And to alleyrepair.com. Contact Alley Repair today for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. If you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college, university life, or you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our sister website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro. I want to thank you so much for taking a few moments with us tonight. And if you're looking for more wrestling news and rumors, don't forget, check out www.tsj101sports.com for the latest articles on the world of pro wrestling. This is the official podcast partner of the TSJ 101 Sports, and we want to see you guys on that site every single week. Check it out, all the sports there are, including the world of pro wrestling. Until next time, take care, everybody. Make sure you hit frowrestling.com, check out some indie events on our indie events tab, and check out my blog in Fro's Corner. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.